Hi, all, and welcome to Monday night's All Metal Mode podcast with Gypsy, myself, Amanda Digger DeGauze, and we have special guest DJ Yost. A few announcements before we get started with the show. Be on the lookout for July's issue of Dirt Digest magazine. You want to go to dirtdigestmagazine.com and click on current issue as of Wednesday to check it out. And while you're there, you can definitely check out older issues. There's a lot of good information out there. All right, and next up, tomorrow night's All Metal Mode podcast will be Dennis Wynn and Dorian Cook. They will be discussing the Quintrill's Raiders, which will be a 3 to 4 part series. So definitely, give it a listen. Sounds like it's going to be a great time. And then we have some exciting news. There will be a new edition of shows during the week. Mike Hare will be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern starting this Friday. This week, he will be discussing test beds, test gardens, and nail board tests. All right, well, on to the show. Hey, Gypsy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Have you
Good to hear.
Have you gotten out lately?
I have. I got to get out yesterday for a short time. Got to go down to the river with my buddy Scott, and him and I. As soon as we got in the water, somebody had lost their phone with their wedding ring in it and in a little case. And so they were asking us if we found it, blah, 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 blah. And then we went on down the river a little ways, and somebody else had lost their cell phone and asked if we could come look for it. So we had went and tried that, and turned out really good. Found 2 rings, so that's
Nice.
always exciting. So,
Very cool.
how about you? You've been doing a lot of river and dump digging, haven't you?
I have, actually. I've been doing some mudlarking and bottle dump digging. I had met a new digging friend around here, so it's kind of nice to, as you know, we usually go out by ourselves, so it's nice to have a friend to go with, and she's shown me some spots, and I've shown her a couple, and yeah, they've really paid off, and it's been great. I know this past week I was mudlarking a new area and crossed off 3 bucket list items. So I was pretty excited by that. I managed to find a umbrella ink and intact clay pipe
Oh,
and a 2 Riel, so 1761. Blown away, absolutely blown away. And it was just in the mud. So pretty crazy. But I do.
Man, that Real is epic, but also like the pipe. I mean, I know you've been wanting to. You've always found a lot of the pieces. Me, I've never even found pipes. So the area I was in, you just don't find that. But that's pretty epic. That's exciting.
Yeah, it was very exciting. And then yesterday I scared myself. I was out there and I'm like, if the tide comes in and it's pulling things, upstream, downstream, I need to walk a little bit. I've already walked upstream, but I usually turn around once I get to that part and go back. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go downstream a little bit more. And it looked like sand. And I went, I'm going. And I found a hoof pick tool that was embedded in the mud that was really neat. And I'm like, oh, this is great. There's stuff stuck in the mud and in the sand and just sitting there. And I stepped out and the mud sucked my boot and I went down and I'm like, oh no. So I kind of went to step back and my other welly got stuck. And I'm like, this is not good. I pulled out my phone, checked the time because I knew the tide was going to be coming in. And ended up having to take I ended up having to slip my feet out and step on I brought a limb down, and I'm stepping on the tree limb trying to dig my boots out. I was covered in like blue clay mud, and oh man, I just knew I couldn't go back without my boots because it's all broken glass, and oh yeah, so learned my lesson that I need to definitely try to find a different area to walk and not to trust that something that might look solid may not be.
I've done that many times too while river hunting, and and then after a good rain in some soils, if you're not familiar with it, especially that really sticky mud, getting my boots stuck and having to pull my body out, and it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun at all.
Definitely.
But at least you made it out.
I did.
Like quicksand almost.
It is, and it's my first time of actually getting stuck. So the heartbeat definitely a little bit faster, and I'm like, I had to calm myself down. All right, I still have a little bit before the tide really comes up, and so. But yeah, not something I want to do again.
So, is that when you found the Real? It was around the same time that day?
It was a few days earlier. So I had gone back to scope out the area, and I'm like, you know what? I need to go further down to see what else might have been pulled by the tide. And I still haven't checked the entire area. I need to. The tide schedule and myself don't seem to mesh up very well. So, but yeah, so that's about it. I think we should.
Sorry, I was reading comments. Go ahead. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring our host in.
All right.
I mean, our guest. Sorry.
Everyone, give a warm welcome to DJ Yost. Hey, DJ.
Hey, ladies. Thanks for having me.
Yes, excited to have you on.
Thanks for being here, DJ.
Oh, no problem. I haven't done a podcast like this in years. But they're always fun to do, so I'm glad to be here.
Well, welcome. We usually have a lot of questions for you, but we usually like to start out with the more general just to get to know you better. I know Amanda's got a long list, so I'm going to let Amanda start us off.
All right, so more the general, but how did you get into treasure hunting, and how long have you been metal detecting?
Let's see. In my early teens, I'd say about 12 or 13 years old. No, I'm sorry, I go back before that. I got my first metal detector when I was 8 years old. It was just something my mom and dad bought me. It was a Radio Shack Micronta. I forget the exact model of it, but I still have it. It's still here. And I actually grew up in the third house built in my town. It was a log cabin from 1743. So, I mean, I didn't take it serious. It was just a toy at that point. But then when I got into my teens, I started looking for Native American artifacts. I started going out in the fields and looking for arrowheads and stone tools and stuff. And I remembered about the metal detector because in my area, a lot of history seems to overlap itself. It's like wherever there was a Native American camp, that's where the colonists came in. And they set up, for some reason, right over top of them. So there's both items on the same grounds. So in my teenage days, I remembered that my grandfather had a metal detector, and he actually gave it to me. And I started out with, I forget the model again, but it was a bounty hunter. And from there, I switched up to whites shortly after that, and I've been with whites ever since I was a kid. But yeah, it's just started out looking for arrowheads and artifacts, and metal detecting just kind of took over. Once I found that first coin, I was hooked, and that was it, pretty much.
That's awesome. Do you remember what your first coin was?
Oh, absolutely. It was a 1832 large cent. Oh. I didn't even know there were big pennies at the time. I literally Googled it. I could read the 1 cent on the back. So I knew, I had an idea what it was, but it wasn't familiar to me. So I Googled it, or I looked it up, and it came up, and there was a penny from 1832. I couldn't believe it. I was like, look at the size of this thing. And that was it. It took over from there, and I just kept wanting to find them coins.
What a coin to start out with. Boy, that that would definitely get you hooked. And as a young person, goodness.
Yeah, well, my first real site was it was a good one, and I didn't even know it at the time. I mean, I just knew the place was old, but it was a virgin site and it was loaded. I mean, there was stuff everywhere, and that's all it took. But that first large cent, still my favorite coin to find today. I don't know if that's the reason why, but I just love finding those coppers up here.
Well, DJ, I live in Texas, and I'm still after my very first one, so that's the top of my bucket list. So maybe someday.
Do they ever come up down there?
It's pretty rare. I have friends that live here and lived in Texas, and I think they have maybe found. I mean, that have been metal detecting for way longer than I have. And may have found 2 or 3 in all their detecting years here in Texas. Yeah, they're very rare.
Yeah, I know. We're definitely blessed with the history up here. To have those early coppers like that, it's a wonderful thing for sure.
Yeah, they do find in certain areas Spanish real, which is interesting. But you had a lot of the. Well, I'm not that far from the Alamo and stuff like that. So I mean,
okay.
That's understandable.
Oh, by the way, I'm from up in North Jersey, so that's we got some good history. That was going to be my next.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question because I know that Amanda probably knows where you're from, but I wasn't sure, and I know our listeners would love to know where you're from. But North Jersey.
Yeah, for quite a while I was hunting Pennsylvania, and I recently moved over to Jersey about 4 years ago. But I still hunt both. I'm right. The Delaware River separates us. It's about 10 minutes from my house, and I work in PA, so I'm constantly traveling back and forth.
So, what type of hunting do you do most? Do you do, field hunting? River hunting, combination of all kinds?
Well, basically, I would consider myself a general detectorist. I love the colonial, and that's what I'm after. But unfortunately, that's just not possible to get on the colonial grounds every day. With my daughter being into the hobby, we're happy to go anywhere. We fortunately live right across the street from a local park. So, I mean, that's just for something to do. We always go over there and just dig a couple holes and find some coins and I'll take it all, but my heart's with the colonial stuff. That's what I really like.
Same here.
Usually for the colonial stuff, it's the fields. So and again, that's seasonal too. But again, with my history up here, we still have standing colonial homes from the mid 1700s, and like I said, it's hard to get into them nowadays. But if you do, and you get a good site, it's amazing. I just had an experience with one last weekend. Home was built in 1862, I believe, and I was ecstatic. I did a door knock. I was very apprehensive with all the COVID stuff going on, and luckily I saw them out in the yard. It's like the 397th time I drove by their house, hoping to catch them outside, and I finally did. So I pulled in, I gave him the spiel, and we talked, and we hit it off with history. She's actually the homeowner was a history major. And I offered, that was my key, that was my turning point. When she said that, I offered to turn everything over because I knew the history of the home. I wanted to dig those grounds so bad that I wanted to see what was there. So I offered to turn everything over, and we waited a couple weeks, and they contacted me, and I finally got a chance to hit it last weekend. It was good. It was a fun one.
Wow.
But they were excited. I got 2 large cents, 7 Indian head pennies, a buffalo nickel, a bridge token, a couple wheat pennies, a colonial thimble, a croto bell. I mean, the stuff just kept coming. And I was just out of the front yard, so I'm definitely going back there.
I still want to find a croto bell as well. I don't find many of them here in Texas.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough down there. What's the biggest thing you guys go after down there in Texas? History-wise.
Texas here, a lot of the history is the older stuff or Civil War era. So those sites are kind of far and few between, but it takes a lot of research and stuff like that to even find those locations and stuff, or encampments and stuff like that. But around here, you're happy with just some. More than likely, most you're going to get is like some Indian head pennies and some barber dimes.
Okay. Well, that's
more
fun. Fun days.
It's fun. It's fun. It's just not as much seated until you can find some of the older sites, and then those are even hard to find. But it's here. It's here. It just takes research and getting the permissions, etc. So.
Yeah. That's cool.
Now, did you have your digging partner wanted to?
Yeah. Annalise, you want to say hi to everybody? All right. So here's a little background on my daughter. She's 7 years old. She had her first metal detector was given to me at the baby shower before she was ever born. So she grew right into it and took to it, and she's my little partner. So there you go. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, welcome, Annalise.
Welcome. So you're a treasure hunter too.
Yep.
What's your best find so far? Do you have a favorite find?
In our front yard, we digged up. There was a rainbow that hit our yard, and we digged it up, and there was a bunch of gold.
A bunch of gold?
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's awesome. So
it's on my dad's YouTube channel.
Oh, we'll have to go watch.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for being on, Annalise. You're going to have to keep digging with your dad. That's awesome. You're his sidekick. You help him dig, or does he help you dig?
I help him dig.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome.
I have my own machine, too.
Ooh, what machine
do you use? You have your own
use?
machine?
The Spencer.
Awesome. It's a good machine.
That's awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys. She liked it.
That's great.
Yeah, she's my little partner. We love it. We go out. We have so much fun together.
That is awesome. You're going to treasure these moments forever, and I hope she sticks with it, because both of my kids, they're just not interested anymore. They did it for a hot minute with me, and then now it's like, although...
Yeah, I hear that a lot, unfortunately. I'm hoping she sticks with it, though.
I hope she does. Something I did forget to mention earlier when I was talking about my river hunt yesterday, I did find a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker, and this is the second one I found in the river. And anyway, I gave it to my son earlier. He was excited.
Oh, that's cool.
They're always excited when I bring home stuff that they keep.
Yeah, there's nothing better than you finding something you can use. I got a few tools that I've cleaned up. I actually have an old pipe cutter. It's a little tiny pipe cutter that cuts up to like 1/2 inch, and the blade is still sharp, and I got it clean, and I've actually used it at work. And a couple of like axe wedges I've found and cleaned up I used at work, and yeah, it's great when you get to utilize the actual item.
Yeah, it really is. Amanda, I know you got a list of more questions.
Yes, obviously you have found some absolutely amazing items. Do you have a bucket list or an item you're still hoping to find?
I do, and it might be an odd one for everybody, but a jaw harp. I want to find one of those old colonial musical instruments. It's, you know what I'm talking about, the jaw harps. It looks like almost
Yep.
looks like a bottle opener, but it has a little thing in the middle. I don't know why. I've seen all my friends dig them. I've never come across one. It's just something I'd like to see in my collection. As far as coins, I'd really like to see an old U.S. gold coin. I mean, I know everybody does. I found a foreign gold coin one time, but it just wasn't U.S. I want to see that U.S. head on it.
Right. But at least you got a gold coin. What kind of gold coin was it?
You know, I don't even know. It was very, very thin. It had like there was like an elephant god on it. I want to say it was like Indian or Hindu or something. I ended up selling it. I found it when I was like 15 years old, and as a teenager, I sold some things. But
yeah. You wish you would have held on to it.
Yes, I wish it was in my display case, but it's gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did. When I found it, it was actually folded in half, and I almost thought it was a piece of foil. And I unbent it, and I saw this god on it and this writing that I couldn't read, and I took it in, and sure enough, it was a gold coin.
That's incredible.
And another time, I found a gold coin. It was a replica of a St. Gaudens $20 piece, but it must have been an earring, and it's like half the size of a dime. And I eyeballed it in a sidewalk crack one day, and it has a bezel on it, stamped 22K, and then the little coin is 18 karat gold. That was pretty neat too.
That is cool.
That is really cool. So we talked about kind of your bucket listers, and I know us as metal detectors and treasure hunters, we get asked this all the time, but we kind of like to ask the same general questions over and over. But do you have a favorite find that really sticks out in your mind, or one of your favorite finds, or like an odd find or interesting find with a story behind it, anything like that?
Yeah. One of my favorites is one I actually didn't get to keep, and I'm okay with that. This was a life-changing moment in my metal detecting career. We're going back about 10 years. I'm going to keep the story vague because I never published it, and I never really talked about it, but the gist of the story is one weekend morning, my neighbor knocked on my door, and he's like, "Hey, DJ, you're into that treasure hunting stuff, huh?" He's like, "Can you come up to my mother-in-law's house and help her look for something that she thinks is there?" So what are we talking about? She said, "Well, she thinks that there's something buried on the property. Her husband died, and he never got to change the will. There was money missing out of the bank, and basically on his deathbed, she asked him, 'Didn't you leave me anything?' And he mumbled, 'It's right behind you.' So this poor woman ripped her house apart, ripped her walls apart, her floorboards apart, was looking for this money. And then fast forward to when my neighbor came up, asked me to go up. On the way up there, they're like, 'Hey, we don't think you're going to find anything. We just want her to get some closure. And if somebody who knows what they're doing looks, doesn't find it, she has to move on.' But lo and behold, I actually found what she was looking for. And it was a metal lockbox that contained $17,500 cash. And that was amazing. I called my fiance at the time, and I said, "I did it. I'm a real treasure hunter. I just found almost $20,000. And long story short, she paid me. She gave me $2,000 for finding it for her, and she moved on with her life and had a little closure. And there's more to the story, but it really helped her out in her financial situation. She was able to move on from then. And when I left her, she was in tears. She was hugging me, telling me she's never going to forget me. And that was the first time metal detector, it hit me like, oh my God, like I just changed this woman's life with my metal detector. And, it's like, that's not the common thought. We're all out for ourselves. We're all out trying to find that piece of history or that flashy coin or jewelry. But I changed this woman's life, and I'll never forget her. I'll never forget that.
That's an amazing story. I love that story.
Thank you.
Wow. I got chill bumps when you were talking about that.
I still do. I got them when I was telling it to you.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. I cracked open that metal lockbox and I saw stacks of $100 bills fall out. And I was, I'm not going to curse in your show, but I accidentally cursed in front of this sweet old lady. And I was like so excited. I was like, oh my God. Yeah.
Wow.
It was exciting. It was really, my adrenaline was flying high for days after that.
I bet. Oh my goodness, what an amazing story. So
yeah, the money smelled moldy. You could actually smell it when we opened it up.
Really?
It was spendable.
That's amazing.
So you found it in time then, before it started rotting away?
Yes. Well, she only had a month left to live there. That's the other kicker. She basically got thrown out of her home because she didn't own it. And yeah, the money would have been found by either a cleaning company, or it would have never been found, or it probably would have never been found, to be honest. But yeah, I found it out in the yard, so all was good.
That's so great.
Oh, wow, that's incredible.
But yeah, now as far as my metal detecting stuff, I mean, I really, like I said, I love the cloning. I was blessed enough to find a George Washington button. I did come across one of those a few years ago out in a local field.
Oh.
I don't know. I really like my coins. I got some oddball coins. I got a really, really, it's actually on the picture for the podcast, an Indian head error penny. It was double struck. It's an 1864, and it got stuck in the press, and the press came down for the second coin and clipped the edge of this one and started to print another Indian head penny on top of the original Indian head penny. It's pretty wild. I've really never seen anything like it before in person. But that's another one of my favorite finds.
That is, it's an awesome looking coin too. When you sent it over, I'm like, yes, because it's just so not something you see every day.
When I saw it on the ground, it went through my head like, is that an error? And then I'm like, no, somebody just chewed on that. And I threw it in my, I put it in with the rest of the coins. And then when I got home and cleaned it off, I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It is an error coin. Yeah, that was actually a big deal. I actually came across that coin on a major coin website. They took pictures off my Facebook and were discussing my coin. And I was laughing to myself. There was people saying, "Oh, he forged that out in his blacksmith shop." I'm like, "What are you guys talking about?" It was 9 inches down at a colonial house. Like, but yeah, I mean, you have disbelievers everywhere when something like that comes up. But yeah, it's a pretty neat piece.
That's amazing. We've got a question in chat. Did you see that, Amanda?
I didn't.
Okay. So have you ever found a large, rare Civil War medallion?
Yes, I have. How do you know that?
Oh. Somebody knows that.
I did. I was invited down to a friend Mark's house. Again, thanks, Mark. That was a great hunt. And I pulled out this huge, it's 1864. I don't even remember. It's something about the healthcare workers of the Civil War. I'm trying to look for it right now. Yeah, that was a big surprise. Yeah, I'll have to find it. I'm not sure exactly which case it's in right now, but big bronze like metal or whatever it was. I looked it up online. I guess when they were issued, I think it had a value of like $500 or something like that. But value's not the reason why I do it. But it's nice to know something that just to have a little info on the piece.
That's cool, though.
Very cool.
What is your strangest find that you found?
Strange. For a while there, I was like, I kept eyeballing all the different kinds of teeth out in the cornfields, but I think we all do that because our eyes are just trained for oddball things. But I got an opportunity a few years back to hunt Fort Dix, New Jersey, and I actually came up with a gold tooth. And I tested the gold tooth, and it came in at 22 carat, which tells me that it's foreign, because I believe U.S. dental gold only went up to 10 carat or something like that. But that gold tooth was actually in my trash pouch again, and I kept looking at this thing for 3 days sitting in my trash pile, and I kept saying, that looks like a tooth. And then I cleaned it off, and sure enough, it's a gold tooth.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's strange. And it's also, it's a good lesson too. So the gold coin that's folded, the gold tooth, and the Indian head, all in your trash, well, not in your trash pile, but in your discard type of thing. And definitely double checking it.
It happens for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. One time I came across a petrified cat that was in a barn for 35 years. It was mummified. That was a sight to see. We went to tell the homeowner. He's like, "Oh yeah, that came with the house." He's like, "Nobody's moved it. We just left it there." So that was a bit odd.
That's gross. Right. Oh boy. So DJ, let's talk. You said you started with probably a bounty hunter. Is that what you said?
My very first machine was a Radio Shack, and then I had a bounty hunter.
A Radio Shack. Okay. Yeah, I started with a Radio Shack too. Pretty much the same.
Yeah, like I said, that was just a toy at that point, but that was the opening up to it all.
Right, right. So, what detectors, or you may not remember them all, but, what were some of the detectors you've used over the years, and brings us up to, what metal detectors you currently using?
Oh, if you know me, you might know that I had a diehard passion for White's Electronics metal detectors, and ever since my Prism 5, I think, it's been White's ever since. I've had the Prism series, the MXT, a few of the MXT. I had the VX3. I had an XLT. I basically had almost all Whites. Now I run the MX Sport. I have the MX7, but the MX Sport's my primary machine. That's usually what I take out every single day. I'd throw the MX7 in if I know I'm going to be out super long, because the MX7 is a lot lighter and it's easier on the arm.
Cool. That's cool. Which one are you using, Amanda?
Same thing, the Sport and the 7.
Same thing.
And then on occasion, I still bring out my MXT. And then cool. George sent me the Eagle SI, I think it is.
Ah.
So have you had a chance to play with that yet?
I haven't. I plan on it, but then I got into the bottle dump digging and kind of went sideways with detecting, and went to a spot the other day, and I brought my Sport because I knew I was going in the water. So I definitely need to, once the rain stops and I get back from heading to the mountains, I will probably give it a test.
Oh, that's cool. That's one aspect. I never did a lot of water hunting. It just seems like a whole different world to me. I mean, I played in creeks and streams and stuff, but I never really got serious about water hunting, even though I use a waterproof machine. But I mean, it's nice to know when it starts downpouring that you don't have to worry about anything. So.
Right.
Now, do you want to tell the listeners how you got involved with Whites?
Sure. Yeah. Basically, they found me on social media. On Facebook one day, I got a private message from one of the secretaries that worked there, and we just hit it off. We hit it off really good. They helped me out, and I helped them out unofficially. And we had a relationship for quite some time until they decided to form the field team. I was one of the original members on the Whites field team. I forget, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And that was a great experience. Wonderful opportunity. They flew me out to Oregon to the headquarters. They sent me to different digs all around the United States. and it was a blessing. I mean, I felt like a kid in a candy store walking through the factory. I never thought in my wildest dreams I would ever see anything like that, and I did. I saw how it works from the start to the finish on how these things are built, and I had no idea. I really never even thought about how these things were built. I just used them, turned them on and used them. But seeing that really gave me a whole different perspective on what goes into these machines and, the technology of them all.
Right. So do you have a really memorable moment that really sticks out with being with a part of the White Steel team?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Oh, sorry. So do you have a really memorable moment that really sticks out for you from being on the field team?
The factory tour and meeting the White staff, having pizza with the White CEO, showing him pictures of my daughter, that's pretty... I'll never forget that, because, again, I never thought I would be in that position. All the digs, every dig they've ever sent me to, I mean, I remember them all. I appreciate them all. It was the best part is meeting everybody and actually putting a face with a name. But yeah, it's pretty much, again, I was just honored to be in that position. So everything they've ever done for me is just, I'm never going to forget any of it. Again, with them closing, I'm sure everybody knows that White's unfortunately had to shut down recently. And honestly, it felt like a death in the family to me. That's my relationship. I was that close with them. And, I hate to say it, but, it is what it is. And I don't know. I guess it's just time to move on. But I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss everybody on the field team, the staff. And it was tough to hear.
Yeah. And they've been in business how many years? I know longer than Garrett, I'm pretty sure.
70 years. They were, 1950. They were the innovators of this hobby. Basically,
definitely.
I'm not being a jerk or bragging, but White's basically all the technologies out there. White's basically came up with, and then it just got piggybacked from company to company, and it just progressed. Oh, yeah. And you can't stop progression. Definitely. And things got tough for them, especially with the COVID. The COVID hit. Nobody was foreseeing that coming, and it made manufacturing got shut down, and then they couldn't get parts, and on top of sales and overseas competition, and there's just a lot going on. And unfortunately, 70-year legacy has come down.
Yeah, that's so sad. It's, COVID, I don't even want to get on that bandwagon right now, but it's hurt so many businesses and companies and long-standing companies like White. It's hurt Garrett as well. It's hurt, I'm sure, some of the other manufacturers. It's just tough. And, Amanda and I have been talking about, I got a little teary-eyed the other day. I shouldn't even bring this up, but on the phone with Amanda and I, because we had a trip planned, and it's just terrible how things have happened this year and went down with that hitting. Yeah. But hopefully, we can see the light at the end of the tunnel and try to stay positive and see what the future brings. And who knows? You never know. I mean, there might be something new emerge from this. Try to look on the bright side as as you can.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame. There's in my hometown, there's multiple businesses that have had to close their doors. A lot of family businesses, and I'm not blaming COVID on the closing of White's. It's just one of the factors. It was the icing on the cake, basically, and
right.
Just,
right, and
tough.
That's what I'm getting at. It's an accumulation of things. I totally get it, and it's affecting everybody. and it's just really sad.
Yeah, fortunately, I've been working through all this. But yeah, it's different out there right now. I like the slow pacedness of everything, but I really want to see the world get back to normal, if that's even possible. Again, I hope so.
Yeah, me too, because, I've been wanting to travel, and I've had so many opportunities that came about this year for 2020, and it all went, out the window. So, unfortunately.
I was just looking at my fines case for this year, and I counted up. I think I went out metal detecting 17 times this year. And in my heyday, I'd go out 17 times in a month. Probably more than that. It's like 2020 just isn't the year. I didn't say it to myself, but metal detecting, this is the first time in a long time that metal detecting has actually taken a back seat, just because life is so hectic and there's just so much more going on. Not that I don't appreciate and love it as much as I always did. I just can't find the time to fit it in, and permissions, that's a whole other thing. Trying to get permissions through all this is a nightmare.
Right. Like you said earlier about door knocking, it's just like, can't do it. And unless, you can spot them in their yard or know the people. For me, it's a lot of word of mouth. And right now it's hard because the only word of mouth is social media for me, for phones. There isn't. And I'm sure for most everyone else.
We had a bummer of an experience a couple of weeks ago. Me and my hunting buddy Jeremy went out, and we stopped at this beautiful stone home, early 1800s. It was the first time we decided to say, all right, let's try it since this COVID. Let's go out. People are being a little more receptive. People are coming outdoors more. So we actually did, and we knocked on the door. The gentleman answered, and we gave him our spiel. He said, yeah, that sounds great. Go ahead, guys, have fun. So we literally got my belt on. I got my machine in my hand. I ground balanced, and the door flies back open, and the guy says, I'm sorry, guys. My wife doesn't really want you guys here. It's just not a good time right now. And we had to leave. We had to pack it up and leave. And, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do at that point.
No.
But, yeah, that was a real bummer. My buddy, he's like, can I offer you some money? I'm like, dude, they don't want it. Let's just go. We'll try again some other time.
Gypsy, does that sound familiar? I'll offer you money.
That does sound familiar. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Except the wife blamed it on her husband. Her husband didn't want, anyone on the property. And I did the same thing too. I'll give them money. She's, how much did you offer them? You don't want to know.
Yeah, when you're getting your heart broke like that, anything's liable to come out of your mouth just for that one last shot.
Right. Oh boy.
So you said you've obviously traveled quite a few places with the field team, but you live in a very rich historical area. You were talking about you're in New Jersey and you work in Pennsylvania and you detect both. Out of all the places that you have detected, what has been your favorite?
Oh, geez.
Sorry, curveball on that one.
So basically, what's my favorite site, more or less?
Or state, soil, like soil type thing. Yeah.
One time I went down with Drew Waholic, and it was my first time ever hitting like a riverside. And we had to be there at a specific time, and the tide went out, and we were hunting like the rocks there where the water was. And I'm like, this is where we're digging, man? He's like, yeah. He's like, the water's going to keep going out for about another hour or two. We'll have more space. And it was something new for me. We weren't in the water. I mean, our feet were over the water, but the tide was out. So we were, virtually on dry ground with wet rock underneath us. And I remember getting my first signal, and I dug in the ground, and my shovel was like, cling. I'm like, we got to dig in 5-6 inches through this stuff. And it was a new experience to me, but lo and behold, I ended up turning around and digging a Spanish, I think it was a half real out of there. And after that, I was like, this is awesome. It sitting on the river, looking at the bridge down in Philly or wherever that was. I think it was Philly. Yeah. It was just a neat experience. I never got a chance to go back and do that again, but I always wanted to do that. That was really fun. I was finding musket balls, colonial buttons. I never underwater. I mean, that was just new to me. It was just so neat. But
wow,
that's one. I don't know if that was my favorite, but that's one I'll never forget, and that's something I want to do again. As for my favorite site, I have a little private honey hole in the town I grew up in that really produced a lot for me, and it actually was the start. It was an old military academy for boys back in the 1780s, and then it was always like a little town square kind of deal, and then it turned into where they started the town parades, and all the veterans used to go there on all their uniforms, and it was an amazing site for me.
Wow. That's awesome. We had another question in chat. Have you ever detected out of the country?
No, I would love to. It's a dream of mine to go over to England at some point and dig a 1,000-year-old coin. I have no idea what I'm even looking at, but I still want to find one.
Right.
Yeah, I don't even know how to research those types of coins. But, I mean, obviously, they would help you out and tell you what you found over there. But, yeah, I would really like that opportunity at some point.
Yeah, me too. That's on my bucket list to go to England. Along with Amanda.
Same thing, TJ. I'd be like, I'm still having problems with the kgs I find. Is this a farthing? Is this a half penny? What,
Yeah, they can get tricky because a lot of times there's not a lot of stuff to ID them for. But yeah, your eyes definitely play tricks on you.
Yeah.
Definitely. So we have a question that we like to ask. So we've kind of talked about the out of the country and different places that you've detected that are kind of your favorite. Is there any particular place in the world that you would love to metal detect that if you could if there were no law, no restrictions, anything like that you could just go metal detect there?
It's funny you say that because as a joke, I don't know how it came up the other day, but I forget why I even looked it up, but I Googled the oldest farm in the United States. I was just curious of what that would be. And it came up, it's called the Puddle Farm. And I guess it was established in 1632. And to me, that would be the ultimate colonial dig. If I could go there and rip that place apart, and oh man, that's probably what I would go after.
I wonder if that's the one in my hometown.
I'm not sure. I can't even tell you where it's at. Honestly, yeah. I just briefly looked it up and read quickly, and I told somebody jokingly that's where I was digging the day I looked that up. I was at the Puddle Farm.
I'll have to look because we have I call it the Tuttle's Red Farm, and Tuttle is kind of not
the Red Barn. That's what they talked about. It talked about a red barn or something like that.
Yeah. Huh.
I wonder if it is the same place.
You might have to go try to get permission together once COVID clears.
Yeah, it's definitely. I know it's.
It's in Dover, New Hampshire.
Yep, that's my hometown, and I've actually.
Well, that's the oldest.
Yeah, come on up. I've seen them detecting it.
Are you serious? People actually get to dig in there? It sounded like it was like a historically registered property, but.
No,
I don't know.
I think it was my dad that was there, and he's like, Amanda, he called me up. There's 3 guys that just asked the people, and they're going out detecting. And I think I don't remember if I had work or I had something, and I couldn't go, and but I was like, all right, well, so.
Amanda, you and John got to get on that. You got to work for that one.
Right?
Well, more or less, we know it's been detected multiple times. So I've actually looked at the properties that are to the left and right of it.
Gotcha.
Trying to work on those ones because I haven't seen them been detected before. So, but again, all this came down and my door knocking had stopped. So word of mouth, same thing, and you just got to keep driving by and hoping that they're outside now, especially with the weather being nicer. But they also just planted, so that place is off for the time being. But I'm hoping the neighbors. So, but yeah.
What are the odds of that's right by you? I seriously I never even heard of that until about 3 weeks ago when I Googled what's the oldest farm in the United States.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I'm like, that's too weird of a name for there to be another one out there. It's awesome.
What a small world.
If you get that permission, I was going to say, if you get that permission, you better be inviting me up there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's multiple, like that stretch is the oldest. So,
wow.
And even the river runs next to it. So maybe we can get you in the water some more.
Ooh, yeah.
1630s, can you imagine what could be there?
Yep.
Yeah, I would be in that river.
And a lot of people do. There's divers that go through it, and detectorists, and just a lot. It's pretty crazy how many people actually, go in that area. And that's crazy, though. Wow, I'm kind of blown away.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But I mean, the town I live in right now was technically settled in 1631 as well. I just can't seem to break 100. I can't seem to break past, get the 17s. So I'm like, I know it's here. I just got to find it.
That's a gold mine, yeah.
Yep.
That's a goal of mine as well, to find like a William and Mary, some type of 1600s coin. I have so many toasted coppers that I can't ID. I mean, the chances are I might have one, but I want one that I know for sure that I got a William and Mary.
Right.
And that's the place you'd find them at.
Yeah. Sadly, though, the soil up here it does a number on the coins. So you got to hope that it's pressed against something or a rock that stopped it, or close to the foundations, and hope that there was no fire. But yeah, it is. It's crazy. Let's see. Another question for you. So, how can everyone that's listening find you on social media?
I'm on Facebook under my name, DJ Yost. My Instagram, I post a lot, strictly just metal detecting on my Instagram. My Facebook's kind of open between my family and my business and my metal detecting. Instagram is DJ Diggs. You can find me on there. I do have a blog, djdiggs.net. Unfortunately, life has come to be way too busy, and I haven't had time to sit down and write a blog in quite some time. But I believe there's over 80-some stories of my early adventures on my blog. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm not a YouTuber. I don't focus on videos. If I find something neat or I think, something worth sharing, I break the camera out, usually after the fact of when it's already dug. And I just like to share my excitement and, the interesting find. So yeah, that's, I think my YouTube is Diggs as well. You can find that. But again, I just basically, Instagram and Facebook is my two that I on pretty much daily.
Very nice.
Awesome. Well, y'all be sure and go check out some of DJ's finds, and I'll be checking out some of those as well. And we like to close, DJ, with a kind of a crazy question. We already had somebody guess this in the chat, and it's kind of become a regular thing. Oh yeah. Yeah. You ready?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
If you could dress up as a superhero while metal detecting and absorb those powers of that superhero, what would that superhero be for you?
Oh, geez. All right, I'm gonna go. Let's go mine. How do you say it? Telepathy. If I can control thoughts, if I can control somebody's thoughts, I will never get told no to a permission ever again. Let's see, Doctor Strange from the, what was that? What's he, an X-Men? No, not an X-Men. The Marvel guy from he can do all that kind of stuff.
I like that one better than anyone I've heard. I like
I don't need the powers. I got the tool. I still want to have fun and find it. But if I can make everybody say yes to me, then, hey, that's all I need.
Yeah, that's awesome. No,
right?
You don't want this gold coin. You want me to keep the gold coin.
Oh boy, I would be asking permissions left and right then if I had that power. Boy.
Oh my God! I would just tell the people to call me. I'd just sit here on my couch and think of a place, put a message in their head. Hey, call this guy and tell him you want him to come metal detect.
You'd start Googling people and their properties and finding the owner.
Oh my God! It would be never ending.
You would never run out of permissions ever. Then you would want to call up Amanda and Gypsy and say, "Hey, come join me." You would have more than just kidding. But wow, that's one of my favorites.
Well, we could take it even further. We can have the homeowners cook for us. We can have them do all kinds of stuff.
Right? Oh, you're hungry. You've been working hard out there digging. Why don't you come in and we've got this gourmet dinner prepared for you?
Actually, that's pretty funny.
I love it.
There's a new area I'm digging, and the property, well, obviously, it's a bottle dump, river digging type thing, but the property owner comes out just about every hour or two and offers us, "Did you like a vodka and orange juice?" Or, "I'm making waffles. Would you guys like some waffles?" And it's kind of like that. I don't think I know some wonderful property owners, but this one, I giggle every time it comes out and asks if, do you want some champagne? No.
I think I had my first mimosa that way. I'm not a wine drinker or any champagne or anything. And I was digging and the guy came out with a plate of cheese and crackers and fruit and made me drink a mimosa. And it was,
wow.
I'll never forget that one. I felt like I was like high class there. I'm all dirty, covered in mud. And that was fun.
The most I've ever got is just water. They offer me water. Need some water? That's about it.
No, it's nice when you can really make a friendship with some of the property owners. That's half the fun of it.
Yeah. It's one of the sad things right now is I'm still trying to hook up to return stuff, but everyone's put, a pause on it. So I'm looking at all these display cases going, because that's my Christmas is like returning that. And
yeah, you're really big into that. I applaud you for that, because I'll tell you, like I mentioned earlier, I had a great dig this past weekend, and I left all the stuff with the homeowners, which was my idea. But I can't stop thinking about those coins. But I know how happy it made the people. It made them so happy, and it was totally worth it. And they did tell me that I can come back and I can keep stuff next time. But I was thinking about those coins a little bit there.
It passes, and it even if say you set up a deal with them that you hold on to the stuff for a year, so you can really take a look at it and then display it and give it back. It's a little bit easier to give it back because you could see because you can see what a picture you're painting for them of their property. And you've had that time with them, and you could take a picture of the display and hang it up on the wall with the property, so.
I've always admired that about you, how you do that so nice, how you put them frames together and give it to your property owners.
Yeah, it's fun, but you found some awesome coins this past weekend, so I understand what you're feeling.
Yeah. Oh, I've given some of my favorite finds to the owners, and I have some photos of them, but at the same time, you kind of wish you had it sometimes for display, but it means probably way more to the owner than it ever would, me. But
yeah, you
totally
can
get
usually
it.
tell within the first couple minutes of talking if they appreciate history, and usually those are the people
Right.
that I always offer to leave some stuff with, or if not all of it, but usually sometimes that's the only way you can get into the properties too. And like I said, I just want to be the guy to find it at that point.
So, yeah, I always offer that as well. I say, the same thing. You're welcome to keep the finds, I just want to detect it and video and take photos if I, do some research, if I find anything, worth researching or whatever.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I had a blast.
And you'll have to thank your digging partner for coming on as well.
She is adorable. She is adorable, yes. Thank her for being on. And
absolutely.
Hopefully we can have you back on again in the future sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. Just let me know.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for listening. Thanks again, DJ, and thank you all for joining us tonight. And you all, if you get out there, happy digging. Good night, all.
Good night, all.